In 2012, an Australian scientific ship sailed to a specific set of coordinates in the Pacific Ocean. Those coordinates appeared on Google Maps. They appeared on official French naval charts. They appeared on the Times Atlas of the world. The island at those coordinates had a name, Sandy Island. It had been on maps since the 1870s, over 140 years on official, navigational, and geographical records. The ship arrived at the coordinates. Nothing was there. Just open ocean, 1,400 meters deep. The ship was the Southern Surveyor, an Australian research vessel. Its crew was conducting scientific research in the Coral Sea between Australia and New Caledonia. When geologist Maria Seton noticed Sandy Island on their navigation charts and realized they were passing nearby, she also noticed something odd. The ocean depth readings near the island's supposed coordinates were inconsistent with an island being there. If an island exists, the ocean depth around it should shallow out toward a continental shelf. The readings showed no such shallowing, just open, deep ocean. The crew decided to sail directly to the coordinates to check. They arrived. They found exactly what the depth readings had suggested. Nothing, no island, no reef, no shallow water, nothing. They reported the finding. Within weeks, Google had removed Sandy Island from Google Maps. The French Navy updated its charts. The Times Atlas issued a correction. After 140 years on every official map, Sandy Island simply ceased to exist. Or rather, it had never existed. But how does an island that doesn't exist appear on maps for 140 years? The most likely explanation is a chain of cartographic errors that compounded over more than a century. The first mention of Sandy Island appears in the log of a whaling ship in 1876. The ship reported seeing what appeared to be a small sandy island at the given coordinates. This could have been a reef, barely above the surface. Pumice from a volcanic eruption, even a school of fish. Or simply a navigational error, placing an observation at the wrong coordinates. Whatever the original observation was, it made it into official British Admiralty charts. Once something appears in official Admiralty charts, every subsequent cartographer copies it. Admiralty charts were the authoritative source. You didn't question them, you reproduced them. And so Sandy Island propagated from chart to chart, atlas to atlas, decade to decade. Nobody ever went to verify it. Why would they? It was on the charts. And it was in an area of the Pacific that received relatively little traffic. No shipping lanes ran directly through it. No major ports were nearby. The island sat on every map in a region where nobody had reason to check. Until a curious geologist on a passing research ship in 2012 decided to look. This is not the only example. Sandy Island is just the most recent and well-documented. Phantom islands, non-existent islands that appear on maps, have a long history. High Brazil, a mythical island off the coast of Ireland, appearing on maps for centuries before being recognized as fictional. Isla Fonseca, Bermeja, Los Jardines, islands that were reported, mapped, and then never found when ships specifically went to look, in some cases attributed to mirages, in others to navigational errors. In some cases to deliberate falsification by ship captains protecting trade routes. If you put a fake island on your charts, other ships following them would get confused or lost. Protecting your secret trade route from competitors. Sandy Island may have begun as any of these things. Here is the uncomfortable lesson of Sandy Island. For 140 years, an island that did not exist was treated as factual, not as a rumor, not as a legend, as an established geographical fact, printed in authoritative reference works, included in official navigation systems, used as a waypoint in navigation software. The entire apparatus of modern information verification failed to catch it, because nobody thought to check. And this pattern is not limited to Phantom Islands. Throughout science and scholarship, certain facts are accepted and reproduced without verification. Because they appear in authoritative sources. Because authoritative sources said they were true. Because those sources cited other authoritative sources. In biology, certain figures for the number of taste buds on the human tongue were reproduced in textbooks for decades. The original figure came from a poorly designed study, but it became authoritative through repetition. In psychology, many famous studies from the 20th century failed to replicate when directly retested. Results that had been accepted as established fact for decades turned out to be unreliable. Sandy Island is a perfect symbol of a universal human cognitive failure. We inherit facts from authoritative sources without verifying them. We copy from chart to chart, from textbook to textbook, from consensus to consensus, and occasionally someone sails to the coordinates and finds nothing there. The willingness to actually go and check is rarer than we like to think, and more valuable, an island that wasn't there. On every official map for 140 years, removed only when someone actually went to look. How many sandy islands are still on the maps we use every day? If you want more cases where the map turned out to be wrong, subscribe. Next week, people who discovered they had two completely different sets of DNA in their bodies.